Hi, I'm Roger Bailey. Thank you so much for looking in. Today we're looking at the car that didn't replace the 911, but when Porsche's most ambitious project was revealed to the unsuspecting world back in 1978, this car had effectively rewritten the rulebook. The Porsche 928 was a huge move forward and couldn't have been any more futuristic if it had been beamed down from the Starship Enterprise. And it's interesting to note that this is the only sports car ever to have won the European Car of the Year award, and that gives us some idea of just how groundbreaking this car was. I mean, even today, some 40 years later, it still looks current and very, very cool. We need to take a good look at this. The Porsche 928 was an audaciously ambitious warp speed Grand Tourer produced by the self-proclaimed #1 German car company. They were determined to show the world that no one made cars anything like they could. Originally intended to replace the company's iconic 911, the all-new 928 was to represent the pinnacle of their ingenuity, their metallurgy, their engineering and their style. The brief was to combine the power and handling of a sports car with the refinement and equipment of a luxury saloon. Porsche's executive board believed such a flagship car would have a wider appeal than the compact, quirky and sometimes difficult 911, and they knew that they had the resources and the talent to give it a once-in-a-generation shot. The 928 was a technical tour de force when it was launched and impressed journalists so much that it won that coveted European Car of the Year award. And that's because it looked like nothing else you could buy, and at the time it actually looked like the future of all sports cars. Everywhere you look, the 928 delights and surprises with its design. The low, wide and unique appearance looks striking here in the metal. How can it be that this design is 40 years old? It just looks so cool. These headlights must have cost a small fortune back then, but they put them in because, well, they had the budget. Why settle for pop-ups when you can have these funky flip-ups? And you remember the Millennium Falcon, don't you? Well, these are its seats. Sit in here and you can feel like Han Solo or Princess Leia. And once aboard, the genius packaging becomes apparent. There are clever solutions everywhere you look. I particularly love the instrument binnacle, which moves with the steering wheel, a world first, and these unique controls and switches. Everything is bespoke and all was cutting edge at the time. But it wasn't just ahead of its time to look at. You see, its brand new, lightweight, linerless silicon alloy V8 engine was attached to a gearbox they fitted at the rear of the car, which again was a new idea and gave the 928 perfect 50-50 weight distribution. Emissions from the new V8 were kept in check by a new and highly advanced engine management system. Porsche just went on and on unveiling new tech, such as the Weissach axle rear wheel steering system, and don't forget the fully galvanized and highly aerodynamic body with aluminium doors and bonnet, a sound system incorporating no fewer than 10 speakers, and as well as automatic air conditioning, tire pressure sensors and a really highly advanced ABS system. Oh, and did I mention that it was Porsche who came up with the idea of removing the car's visible bumpers and to conceal them behind these body-coloured wraparound polyurethane elastic bumpers, a radical idea for its time and one which woke up all the other manufacturers to this idea. Our car here is a 928 GT, introduced with stiffer suspension, wider wheels and 330 brake horsepower, and oddly it came with 3 pedals and a stick shift only. Personally, I think an auto box is best in a 928. As the wheels are an inch wider than before and spacers extend the rear track by an extra 20mm, Porsche had to modify these wheel arches to make room for the fatter footwear. Other GT only modifications include a limited slip differential with a locking ratio of 40%, a reinforced final drive, stiffer springs, tauter dampers and a shorter gear lever. The factory claims that the 330 brake horsepower 928 GT can accelerate in 5.8 seconds from 0 to 60, although like all official Porsche figures that is bound to be conservative, as is the claimed top speed of 170 miles per hour. I recall for a time The 928 held the record as the world's fastest production car, and it's impressive 180 miles per hour. And this V8 torque makes for effortless grunty performance. Even by modern day standards, this is a quick car and one which you can confidently put your foot down. The steering is weighted just right, just slightly on the heavy side. It's accurate and has a tactile feel. It's unlike modern cars and I love it. While you can sense this car is old, it feels tight, reasonably refined, and is still capable of some long, fast journeys. Handling and cornering at, shall we say, swift road speeds is flat, safe and communicative. It properly grips the road. That 50-50 weight distribution makes this a real class act in the handling department. The throaty, rumbling V8 combining to make this 928 a special and unique and memorable drive. Just 61,000 928s were built, with only around about 2,000 being GTs, meaning spotting one of the survivors is a rare sighting, especially in this almost concourse condition that this beauty is in. Is it worth owning one? Well, no one makes cars as groundbreaking as this was, and the 928 was and is unique. If you feel the urge to own one, I'd do it now, because in terms of values it surely has to be a case of, well, the only way is up. So the 928 never did replace the 911, yet still secured its place in automotive history as one of the world's most outstanding luxury GT cars. So, if you like the idea of owning one of the fastest and most significant cars from the late 20th century, you should look no further than the wonderful and oh so cool Porsche 928.